Hey y'all, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to try to work with two devices today. Hey, family. I know that it's going to take some folks a minute to get into the room. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Welcome, 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 y'all. Let's come on in together for our tribe talk. Let's tribe up and vibe up today. So I want to talk to you today because and for those of you who don't know, I'm Latanya Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the priestess of purpose, pleasure, and passion. And I am so excited to be here with you today, both on Instagram and on Facebook today. So you all know I like to really connect with you. So focusing on two devices is a trip for me. Hey, y'all. Hey, sweetie, share this out. So I want to tell you why you matter. I want to tell you why you matter. I woke up this morning with that on my heart and on my spirit. And I want to just get right into that today, particularly in this season of rebirth. March, anything that you do during the month of March really programs the remaining 9 months. You all have been hearing me say that. I've been consistent in saying that what you do in these 3 months, we just went through the great conjunction. I'm doing a review really quickly from everything that I've been saying is, we've gone through the great conjunction. The planet shifted, the grid shifted, things are sped up. I've been talking about this very intentionally, but it's one thing to just talk about it rather than be about it, right? It's one thing to just get all this information and inspiration and not really involve yourself in the transformation. And I don't know who needs to hear this, just to know you matter. You matter. You matter because you are matter. You matter because you are matter. You matter because you are an energetic being. You are an energetic being that consists of atoms and molecules that are fed by energy. And let me tell you why. Perhaps, because in this season, particularly coming off of 2020, I know a lot of people are waiting on a stimulus check right now, and the anxiety, the conversation, and now the check-in. Did you get yours? Did you get yours? And other things that we lean on that sometimes it can feel like you don't matter. And I'm talking to the high performers. I'm talking to the overachievers. I'm talking to the celebrity and the layman and the clergy and the people who are giving and all the I don't know why I want you to know, but I know that this is what Spirit asked me to say today, is that you matter because it's a tendency in a season, in a transitional season, to fall into old habits. It's a tendency in transitional seasons to continue to do certain things. So overachievers, right? People who have been rewarded for what they do versus who they are may not really know that they matter. They may know that what they do matters for someone. So what happens when you can't do what you normally do for people? And how do they show up for you? And how do you show up for them? And showing up is another conversation that I want to have with you, because there's a tendency now to be able to disappear and justify disappearing, shutting down on people now, right? And we call it protecting our vibe or our energy, right? And there's no responsibility in relationship, right? And so a lot of times people are disappearing, shutting down, or not showing up, being distracted in a season where it's time for you to focus on not just who you have been or what you've been through, but it's time for you to focus on what it is that you are looking to create in your life. More of it. You matter. You are matter. And so how do you wake up in the morning? How do you handle breakdowns, triggers, and upsets? You matter. And how do you handle it? Have you been doing it the same old way, right? Have you been responding to the same trigger in different people, but calling it them and what they do? You matter, because what if you knew that you matter? I believe that when I knew that I mattered, and when I didn't know that I mattered, I showed up differently in those seasons in my life. Let me tell on myself, but don't leave me out here for just me. I'm going to share some more sources with you in a moment, but don't just leave me out here. I remember when there were times when I was learning how to be present with my own energy, which can be a big energy, and an anointed energy. But before I knew it, before I knew how to work with it, how to govern it, how to show up with other people who had it. And I've talked to you all about the fight or flight, overcoming fight or flight syndrome, particularly if you don't think you matter. So when you don't think you matter, wherever your first experience with that is how you begin to show up and compensate for it. I've been talking in the inner circle about compensation, right? Because many of us, and I'm not going to stay on it too long because it is a deeper transformational work, but many of us we can't even distinguish, even for ourselves sometimes, the difference between someone who's overcompensating and has been rewarded for overcompensated, all the while they feel undercompensated. What does that look like? When you are the one that's always giving, you are the one where people show up for you a certain way, but it's not the way that you show up, or you get rewarded by what you can do for somebody, or good performance, or as long as you don't rock the boat. There's no growth in places where you are not challenged, where you aren't around people who challenge you. And so when you matter, when you're in circles where you matter, your presence matters just as much as your absence, and you are accountable for that. When you understand what I'm saying, that when you matter, when you know you matter, you don't just disappear. In other words, let me go in a little bit on the employee mindset. When you go to a job, you have to show up. Why? Not necessarily because you value yourself, but you value the job, which is something that's external to you. When you love your mother or your father, or sometimes even if you don't, you will show up for them in a certain kind of way. But when you don't think you matter, you don't show up. It's easy for you to believe that your presence does not matter. When you don't think you have a voice, when you don't think that your leadership will be accepted, your differences will be accepted. It's easy to become self-isolated. It's easy when even on this spiritual journey of becoming, even on this spiritual journey of liberation, even as you go through your transitions and rediscover yourself, it's easy to fall back into the zone of not mattering, feeling like you don't matter, so you don't show up like you do. So what do you mean, Rev Coach, when you say show up? I'm not just talking about show up for someone else. I know, Keela, it's on my personal page. I'm okay with that today. Thank you. Good looking out. So when we're looking at when we look at energy, right? Money is energy. Sex is energy. Love, sex, and money is my zone. And love is energy. But if you forget and start to handle yourself like you're human, oh my God, we love to say I'm just human when we mess up, or when somebody else messes up. What I'm saying is this is the season to get into the consciousness of your godhood. See, in godhood, there is responsibility. There's responsibility for you matter. It's responsibility for the matter that you use, the atoms, how you feed the atoms, the molecules, the synapse, the muscles. How you feed it matters. What you watch on television matters. How you speak matters. How you handle it matters. And you show up like it matters. You respond like it matters. And guess what? Even sometimes when it may not matter as much to you, as it matters to someone else, then you look at who are you being called to be in the moment that you are being on assignment. See, in other words, many of us are called sometimes to take a high road, not because of who they are or what they did. Sometimes we are being called to take a higher road because of who covers our head and what we report to and what we answer to. Come on now, am I by myself? We're not just humans. You know, yes, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We say that, but the human experience is the stuff that keeps us disappearing, not showing up, not keeping our word when we say that we're going to do what we're going to do, not even using the tools that we have taken oaths and gone through initiations, and we're more excited sometimes about the title and about the bag, but we forget about the people who bring you the bag and the hello, you matter. Not that anyone outside of you matters more than you do, but when you show up like you matter, there's a certain vibrational energy that you begin to have. And when you spin at a certain vibrational rate, there are certain things that cannot attach to you. Why? Because if they're not vibrating higher, that's when the word says, let it come not my dwelling, right? Why? It's not that you have to be around here trying to get back. In New Orleans, they say catch back. That's when I'm going to get you back. And some of you Scorpios, you know, if you've ever had a reading with me, you, even if you don't have Scorpio as your sun sign, even if it's Scorpio anywhere in your chart, it could be in your business sector that Scorpio is an influence. It could be in your love sector that Scorpio is an influence. Whatever I'm saying, it's that catchback energy when you say vengeance is mine. Now, I'm not saying that, check this out. I honor the dark side of all of us, and we need the dark side. We need to be able to fight. We need to be able to watch as well as pray. That's not this kind of message. I'm not saying deny the part of you that needs to fight, that needs to be the warrior in the collective or in the individual. I'm all about that life, but that's not warfare. It's not what you talk about in strategy. It's not what you talk about in the public. But what I can talk about in the public is is to just somebody. This may not be for you, but maybe if you're listening and you already know that you matter, maybe you're on earth to be the one to tell someone that they matter. Even the people who don't even treat you well, even they matter. Most of us are not even used to being held accountable for where we are and what we do unless we're getting in trouble. We don't know how to be accountable for where we are and what we do because we matter. Now, for those of you who study, if I have a studying crowd in here, I'm tapping around because I did take some notes, and I want you to understand a few things when I'm talking about this matter. When you study the etymology of the words, you see the word matter. And in matter, you see the word what? Mayat, right? You see mayat in the word. You can see the root and the origin of math. Mayat is that, because mayat is considered the feminine, not necessarily just a deity, because some of us get too fixed on the anthropologic understanding of God force and God energy. We get too stuck in the humanness of God energy and not the energy of God energy. Okay, that take notes on that part. The energy of God energy. See, God energy. God has many characteristics. I'm not just here to talk about God. I'm talking about you though as God energy. If you're with me, you with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? Talk back to me. Let me know. Okay, please let me know if you're with me. Hello, somebody. And I'm talking fast because I want to get in. I want to get out. I want to drop it like it's hot. I want to drop it like it's hot, and I want to get on out of here because I know that when I come strong, I don't need to be long. In other words, you understand what I'm saying? And I know that sometimes these messages that I give, they really are punches. Sometimes they're gut punches, and sometimes they're shakeups and reminders and that type of thing, because I'm coming to just remind you transformational leaders, to remind you transformational ones in your family. Yeah, you are the one that was called to be the one to let people know that they matter when they think that they're just an employee waiting to retire. Yeah, you are the one that when it's time for us to start talking about legacy and families and buying property and pooling our resources, not with a pyramid, with people we don't know. And then when we get burned with people we don't know their pediology or their pathology. And so then when you get burned, when you try to make individual moves, you understand? So when we're talking about you are the one, I'm talking to the rebels, the misfits. I'm talking about to the disruptors, the interrupters. I'm talking about to the black sheep, sometimes the ones who've been rejected and miscategorized. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I want you to understand. And I'm also talking to the good girls, right? The ones who followed the rules, right? The ones who recognize that I'm not necessarily living my life. I'm living somebody else's life. Yeah, I'm going to drop it like it's hot and I'm going to get up on out of here, because some people like to come and eat the food, but they don't want to be in the kitchen. And when you're in the kitchen, it's when we're doing this kind of work. And I know many of you are just bystanders, spectators. But that's okay, because sometimes faith comes by hearing. And I just want somebody to know that you matter. Your work matters, no matter what is happening right now. If you're comparing yourself, your followers, your contribution based on someone else, I just want to tell you, you matter. Your calling matters. You matter. You matter. You matter. You matter. But you got to show up like you matter. Got to show up like you matter. When you show up like you matter, you show up in spaces like other people matter. Every piece of living matter, material. Always. Now look, we're dealing with matter, math. You know, like when we talk about our words and you say I'm not good with numbers, you feel me? You're saying now, those of you who are setting millionaire goals, but you don't like to split the bill at the table. You're canceling out the part of you that says that you matter when you refuse to get into a face-to-face relationship with your limitations, with your triggers. Even as a businesswoman, for those of you who are in my business incubator, the first thing that you do when you come into the business incubator is you have to do an assessment of where you are. And many of us don't want to do that in our love. We don't want to do that in our sexuality, and we don't want to do that in our money. And those of you who are doing it, keep going. Hello, somebody. I just want to tell those of you who are doing it, keep going. It's not a one-time event. Rebirth season is calling for the new you, especially right now. Especially right now. This season that we're in, it's calling for the new you. So when we talk about atoms are made up of particles and subatomic particles. And these particles are called neutrons and protons and electrons. And these, we can find these atoms in everything, but yours is designed to be a certain way. Yes, it's rebirth season, but it's been rebirth season. So are you going to go to this resurrection the same way you went to the last resurrection, dressing up, putting on top of something, a new thing? It looks new, but it's the same old thing. We cannot. What needs to be shaken up? Shift everything. If you want to get my shift everything offer, please go to 844-601-0700. Text ReBirth 360, ReBirth 360. I got something for you. We have a community we're getting ourselves off of these platforms where we can talk shop and dig into some things. But let me stay focused here, because I want to get to the Ma energy, because you can't have matter, material. You can't have the math without Ma. This is the age of the woman. This is the season of the woman as we are going into a new season. Equinoxes are seasons where there that follows a structure and an order as well as chaos. Because when something is dying, another thing is getting ready to come forth. And so we see that there's a shift happening right now on the planet. Life and death, the balance of life and death, we're experiencing loss. Who we were when we came in March last year may not be who we are now. We may have learned something new. But when we start talking about Ma, there's a source code in Ma, mother, the divine feminine. And it's not biased to gender, male or female. And this is why we see the upset happening and the revelation happening outside of us. And we could either be focused out there, or we can take and get comfortable with our vision boards that we look at every day. That's how you begin to show up like you matter. Engage with the things that you read and you study, and do what your coaches, whether you read them, whether you coach with them on the phone, whether you come to free, do it. What are you doing with your morning? What are you doing? What are you saying? What resources are you being given? And are you just reading, and now you're awakened? But when you awaken something, it's not always like, everybody just wake up all rosy. Oh, it's a wonderful day. No, sometimes you wake up with a growl. Sometimes you wake up with reluctance. And so it's rebirth season. And I just want to tell somebody, anybody, that you matter. You matter not based on how many likes you have on social media. You matter not based off of the last photo shoot that you took to make yourself look and like you live the life that you want people to think you live. It's not who is evaluating you. You matter. You matter whether you perform well in school. You matter whether you are a teen mother. You matter whether you have 4, 3, 2, 1 failed marriages, or what you call a failed marriage. You matter because you are matter. See, when you understand that and beyond an inspiration, now you got to come into the information. And Mayat represents knowledge. See, we are people, particularly melanated people. We are people of not just religion. And this is why we only can go so far sometimes with what we have, and our fear and hell and damnation mindset sometimes makes you say, well, I should have got it right. But there are some things we have to learn. We have to unlearn and put ourselves in proximity to. The word says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. It's time for us to grow up. Mind, body, and spirit, and in business. The competitive model of business is the old model. And this is why I'm doing the business incubator for creatives and empaths and heart-centered leaders and energy workers and ministers and teachers and healers, because you need to know that your type A doesn't show up like the type A that's operating in their masculine energy, and you have to treat it in your business the same way. You matter. But if you're trying to show up like somebody else, they matter too. Their model, the way that they do a thing, it matters for their energy. But are you operating under your gift, under your assignment, in your bloodline, in your pedology? Are you healing your pathology? You matter to do it. You matter to do the work. You matter to ask for help. You matter to say, I'm not going to be there. You matter to say, I can't come. You matter to engage and like a post. Yes, your comments matter. Some of you look at posts and say, I would say this, but nah, I would say that. I have had people in Rebirth Woman tell me everybody there is so evolved, not knowing where people entered in at. This means that we're still evaluating ourselves based off of somebody else's measurements or somebody else's performance. What are you being called to do? I remember when Iyanla, the Reverend Dr. Iyanla Van Zandt, my teacher, my mother, who says, some of you all want to be like Iyanla Van Zandt. She says, well, do you want to carry the cross that Iyanla Van Zandt had? Do you want those lessons? So be careful when you compare. Be careful even when you judge, particularly when you're in leadership or in business or influence. Oh, because it will come back. But when you show up like you matter, and I'm sure I remember when I started sitting at the front of the church. When I was going to church regularly, I would sit up at the front, because not just because the word mattered, right, or the song mattered, but my energy mattered. And so when I sat in the back, I realized that I was distracted because I'm an empath. I'm an energetic being, and so that means that, and you are too. But certain people are hardwired, meaning you cannot turn it off. So those of you who are sensitive and you felt judged because you're too sensitive, sometimes you develop a protective mechanism for your gift. And so you show up hard, you judge people and condemn people. I was working with a group of ladies, right? And sometimes I work with ladies in their own circle, sometimes to resolve a conflict or just to move to the next level, because maybe executives and highly people cannot all the time do the workshops that you do and engage on the lives the way that you do. And so one of them, I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you with this to chew on. One of them broke the circle. And so what I'm saying to you is that sometimes you're going to have people in your family that's going to break the circle. But most of the time, well, what people are reacting to is the fact that they really don't think that they matter. And so rather than let you hurt them, rather than let you see them, rather than be exposed, they will either judge, blame, condemn, or attack. And this is why some of you come from environments where fighting, cussing each other out, going to blows is a normal, but others of you come from environments where just cutting people off is a normal, but you're continuing generational patterns that you may be the one, if you're watching, that was called to be the interruption. But first you have to interrupt your reaction to it, because you matter. And so when you show up there like you matter, then you begin to investigate the matter. Oh, good. That's good to me. Is that good to you? When you show up like you matter, even when it's not clear, you begin to investigate the matter. And when you investigate the matter from a neutral place, then you can begin to look at your matter. Well, how have I been talking to my matter? How have I been feeding my matter? Because many of us are addicted to pain. Many of us are addicted to pain. Many of us are addicted to fight or flight. Many of us are addicted to hustle. Yeah, I gotta go get the money. Go get the money. Hey, go get the money. Go get the money. But how many of you know how to make the money come to you? How many of you know how to be in position to prosper, so that when it comes, when the responsibility comes, then you are ready to get in position to take on the mantle of your calling, the mantle of your business model, because your business model may need to be tweaked. But do you have the courage to even step outside of what has been to what needs to come through you? So that's my time. I'm mother energy. Ma'at she gives you the 48 laws. Ma'at represents any time we see things being restructured and reordered. See, before you can go into Ishtar season, which is Easter, baby. See, this is when the woman is ripe and ready, but we'll talk about that next week and maybe in some juicy spaces, because this is when they do the fertility rituals. But before you do the fertility rituals that you all call Easter, you already have to know when you got to know when you're ovulating. You got to know what season is the planting season, what season is the pull-up season. And that is done in the sacred container of the work. If you want to know more about the work, I want you to go to 844-601-0700. Text ReBirth 360 so that you can get the Shift Everything preview and join the space. In fact, the space is free and open for you to come in. I'm telling you all, if you are listening to me, you better start getting off of just Facebook and looking for Facebook to feed you and Instagram to feed you. And so we're moving into sacred containers where we're not edited. I don't have to edit. We don't have to worry about being censored. And so now it's being set up on these platforms where you cannot even help your people and tell the truth. So now we are forced to go and reorder how we are communicating, how we're strategizing, how we're visioning. So some of you don't know the work that I'm doing because you just come and get a little bit of the information. Keela, if for anybody who's watching, and if you want the link, I'll DM it to you on Instagram. Just if you want to come into the private community, if there's any ministers who are in transition and you are healing yourself on this journey, ministers who are looking to express their freedom, this is your season. Don't wait. This is your time. I want you to come into a space with other ministers who do not judge you, other spiritual leaders who do not judge you. And I'm doing special just for those who are clergy, who are ministers, those who are reimagining their ministry, those who need to get themselves vibrationally ready for the next call. I want you to inbox me. But those of you who are ready to shift everything and you want to self-study, all I want you to do is get the preview, and then you can come into the community. I'm going to send out the information for this exclusive community that is both male and female. Why? Because it's time for us to work with the divine masculine. It is no longer okay for us to just talk about the goddess and the feminine, but then at home, you don't know how to even talk to your husbands or your partners, because it doesn't just have to be heterosexual love. Many of us don't even know how to deal with a trial or a test in our relationships because we run the first time that there's a problem, or we stay and lay down and become doormats, and it shows up in your business. It shows up in your business model. It shows up who you're attracting around you. It's time to shift everything. I'll be saying this all year because the Great Conjunction was not just a one-time event. It is, and there's another conjunction coming up in this month right behind this equinox. So this time every year, you get to choose your own resurrection. How are you going to lay down the cross that you've been carrying in your business, in your mindset about your business? Are you going to lay down the cross that you've been carrying about somebody who did you wrong? Are you going to lay down the cross that you've been carrying that you're wrong, that you feel guilty? And so therefore, when you feel guilty, you just go away rather than show up. I don't mean to get back into your video, but I want you to hear me because it's the time for many of you to start showing up. The light workers, the healers, but you got to heal, not just that you don't have to be perfect, but this stuff that we're making spiritual bypasses about, and that and this is too critical of a season. Too critical of a season. I'm not going to leave you on the battlefield. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, y'all. So I said I was going to get in, get out. I love you all. There's nothing you can do about it. I want you all to connect with me in community. If nothing else, connect with me in community. If you are a minister or clergy and you're transitioning, trying to figure out how to retransition and your life, this is a good season to explore. Shift everything with me and some other ministers who are doing the same work together in private. So come on over in the room. The same way I came in front of you, it's the same way that I'm leaving you. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it because my love doesn't depend on you to love me back, because I'm so loved by source energy, and I want you to feel the same way. Ciao, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I didn't do too bad navigating these two things, huh? See you on the other side now. I'm still live. I forgot. I'm trying to turn it off over here. But look in the comments, y'all. 844-601-0700. And when I close this out, I'll edit it and put it up there so you won't have to ask. And you can always find everything. Those of you who are asking me about natal chart readings, go to latanyataylor.com. The link is always in my bio, which is over here or up there or down here. When they say link in bio, it's in the profile or in the profile, latanyataylor.com. Guess what? The readings are on special right now. After Easter, they're not going to be on special. So if you want me to do a natal chart reading with you, go grab it. I don't have that many openings for it in the window before it closes, because I only do it in certain days and certain numbers, because I really do channel in that session. Yay! Talk to you later. See you on the other side, my loves.